Back with some more dream stories today, specifically about precognitive dreams. The strange power and significance of dreams have been believed and discussed through time and culture. Korea is no exception, and as I mentioned in one of previous dream episodes, we even have a whole lexicon on meaning of dreams, what the object and situation that occurred in your dream should mean. They are basically based on the belief that some dreams could foretell what is to come in real life. From big and little events to a matter of life and death, some are more metaphorical and others are more direct vision of what is to come. So here are 9 allegedly true stories from Korea about dreams that predict the future. As always, handpicked, translated and narrated by your host, Anthony. My aunt dreams a lot, and some of which would turn out to be precognitive. One of the most amusing one is this. She was more or less forced into an arranged marriage to a total stranger from a village 20 minutes away from her home. Now, such wasn't uncommon in a generation, especially when aunt's father was a soldier and was a proper old-fashioned patriarch. Before she was summoned back home for a hurried engagement, she was working in a bigger town. A couple of years in the bigger water made her a modern woman, and she was not happy at all about the old tradition of loveless marriage, and she already hated her fiancé-to-be before she even met him. But when she finally met him in person, she accepted him as her destiny and agreed to the marriage without a noise. The reason she was so sure was the dream she had just a few days prior. She was in a countryside farmhouse, not much different from her own family home, but definitely not hers. And there she was handing out a clean towel to a strange man who just finished washing his face. As soon as my aunt walked into the house of her in-laws-to-be, she instantly recognized it was the house in a dream. The layout, color of the roof, the well under the persimmon tree, everything. And the man introduced to her as her beau was indeed the man in a dream too. Now they are still happily together and parents of a son and a daughter. Aunt would still occasionally say, had it not for the dream, she would have rather run away than marrying a stranger. One night, I woke up with thirst. I got up and went to the kitchen still half asleep to grab a glass of water from the fridge. But I slipped in front of the fridge, fell, and hit my head hard at one corner of the kitchen cabinet. Then I woke up with a startle. Gosh, it was a dream, thank God. Since the dream woke me up, I decided to get myself a glass of water and went to the kitchen. I slipped in front of the fridge and fell. Then I woke up again with a startle. A dream in a dream. What a bizarre dream that was. I felt thirst and was, though a bit reluctant, anyway went to a kitchen to grab some water. This time I was extra careful. I even crouched down and fumbled around the floor in front of the fridge. And found the floor wet. Something spilled from the fridge apparently. Would I really have slipped and fallen had it not for that weird dream? I dream a lot. Most are just meaningless dreams, but some seem to have creepily predicted what was to come. Once I saw my older married sister in the dream and found her both eyes gone blue and black. I asked what happened, but she didn't reply anything. And later that day, her son happened to hit her with a toy and indeed bruised her eye. My dad has 2 brothers, and last year about the New Year's Day, I saw the younger uncle in my dream. It started with somebody calling for my dad from the garden. I looked out and found a strange old man carrying a few big bundles. He handed them to me saying,
"They are precious things. Give them to your father."
But I didn't feel good about them. I asked what they were, but the old man didn't give me a straight answer and just emphasized they were valuables. Suddenly the younger uncle appeared and said, "Aren't they junks? I'll take them." Uncle took a couple of bundles and loaded them up on his car, but left a few behind, saying he would pick them up later. This uncle runs a junkyard in real life, by the way, and right following day, as he was unloading from a lorry, he slipped and fell right on a sharp object. He was hospitalized a while and was told, should the injury just a little bit deeper, it could have been fatal too. And this year, I had a dream about the older uncle too. In real life, my dad and he are estranged and currently do not talk to each other. And in this dream, dad and uncle were having a legit row. When uncle started punching dad, I ran to stop him. But he was so strong that I was no match. In the end, I jumped on his feet as a last-ditch effort. The older uncle doesn't have a proper job and works as a day laborer when somebody calls for him. Shortly after I had the dream, he was working at a construction site when a heavy load fell right on his feet, crushing the bones to bits. That kind of dream doesn't happen so often, but I must say I find it a bit creepy, especially because they usually seem to predict unfortunate events only. Back in 1997, I lived in Ilsan. By now it's totally gentrified as a bed town to ever-growing Seoul, but at the time, it was really just a countryside village. From the bus stop to my home, there were some tombs dotted around on the way, and a single street light was hardly ever properly maintained, that it was often either out of work or constantly flickered, which actually made it feel more spooky. Anyway, one day I had a dream in which I was on my way back home walking through the familiar route. Except from the tomb on the roadside appeared a ghost and started chasing after me, shouting,
"Help me! Help me!"
But nope, I wouldn't just wait to hear whatever the ghost's favor was, would I? I ran back home. Problem was, that same dream occurred 3 days in a row. On the 4th day, I was walking along the same way, and unwittingly looked towards the direction of the tomb in my dream, and found the tomb gone, the plot completely dug up under the sign that announced the road expansion plan. It was still a hot late summer day, but I got chills all over then. So, the ghost was really asking for a help. I live in Hwasong City. Unfortunately, the city is best known for the various murder cases, most notably the serial killer case that became the motive of the 2003 film Memories of Murder. When I was in the 4th grade, I had a scary dream. I was in the local swimming pool I used to frequent. I don't know why, but I was crying my eyes out, sitting on the edge of the pool. Then suddenly, the pool water turned to scarlet red, as if the whole pool was filled with fresh blood. I jumped up, terrified, and saw an older girl floundering in the middle of the bloody pool.
"Help me! Help!"
she cried out. I ran to seek for an adult, but when we came back, she was nowhere to be seen, just a pool full of red, sticky blood. A week later, I heard a young uni student who attended the same pool as mine went missing, only to be later found dead. The case still remains unsolved. My mom sometimes have a dream that predicts the future. This is just one example. In 2004, I was in the last year of high school and was preparing for my SAT. One day mom told me with a big smile, "I just had this dream last night that you scored 470 from SAT and entered the university you wanted." I just scoffed, because the perfect SAT score at the time was 400. I ignored her that she didn't know anything and her dream meant nothing. SAT that year was particularly tough. I got the result good 30 points lower than what I could normally expected, well short for any university I was aiming for. I was disheartened so much that I didn't touch books for a few months. But mom persuaded me to give it a second try, and I resumed my study. Honestly, I didn't put too much heart in it. It was announced that they were radically changing the SAT system too for the following year, so I didn't expect to do any better, if not worse. But then, I scored 470 out of 500, the perfect score under the new SAT system. I was overjoyed and got chills at the same time for my mom's dream having come true. But entering the uni I wanted proved to be trickier than I thought. There were unforeseen variables under the new SAT system which made me give up my first wish unis. Actually, even the second-line universities looked tough to get now. Then, my mom had another dream. "You see, I saw you in the dream go to submit your application to your university, and at the gate were a crowd of students demonstrating. Which uni do you think it was?" I instantly guessed which uni that was. My uncle went to that uni, and by fact I knew its students were heavily involved in political and social demonstrations. Now, fully trusting my mom's dream, I applied for that university despite the advices from teachers that it was above my reach. And against all odds, I was granted a place there. What can I say? Mom's always right. I'm sure it's the same for others too, but I hardly ever remember dreams. But this one is still clearly etched in my memory. When I was 20, I and 4 friends planned to go camping together. It was the first time for us to do anything like that, so we planned ahead pretty carefully, where to go, who to bring what. As for transportation, we all chipped in to rent a car. Then, a week before the camping, I had this bizarre dream. There, I was but a third person observing what was going on. A strange guy, all in black, was dancing up on a black car. Bells were ringing in his hand as he jumped up and down. Come to think of it, the dance resembled that of a shamanic ritual dance that I saw on TV. It was weirdly unnerving scene. I instinctively felt aversion and fear, that I would never want to get near the guy, that I didn't want to even lay my eyes on him. I turned away from the sight, shivering all over. But then the noisy ringing of the bell stopped, and somehow I thought to myself, "No!" I turned to look at the man in black again. He stopped dancing now, and he was staring at me. I just knew that he was a Grim Reaper. And then I woke up with a scream. But a dream is just a dream, and I quickly forgot about it. 5 days before the trip, the friend who was in charge of renting the car informed that he got a minivan, a black minivan. The night before the camping, we 5 gathered together already to head start with some drinks. But when I got up following morning, I didn't feel well. I threw up and passed diarrhea as if I couldn't keep anything in my stomach. I had to seek a doctor first thing in the morning, and it delayed the whole travel plan. The diagnosis was an acute enteritis. Nothing too serious, but doctor hooked me up to a drip for the morning. The travel plan was already delayed by an hour at that point, and I told my mates to go ahead first, that I would join them the following day. When the drip was spent, it was nearly 1 in the afternoon. I called my friend expecting they should be at the camping ground by then. "Hey, having fun without me?" I said.
"We're not even there yet,"
he said. "What? Why?"
"There was some car accident ahead of us. I hear a lorry and a car crashed. Must be pretty bad, and we are stuck on the road for an hour already."
It suddenly brought back the dream of the man in black. I got curious and Googled the supposed meaning of a dream of a dancing Grim Reaper. Apparently it signified an impending doom, death to the dreamer himself or people close to him. It might be all just a coincidence and hindsight, but what if I hadn't got ill that morning and delayed the schedule? Could we have been the very car involved in the car crash? I don't think I have any special spiritual gift, but I do occasionally get little precognitive dreams. And I say little because they literally are. For example, when I was 8, I had a dream in which I was sharing a bag of gummies with a friend. I found the last one left in the bag was the red one and exclaimed, "Oh, I saw this exact moment in a dream." And exactly the same scene indeed occurred the following day. Or, one time I visited Busan with some friends. We arrived at the beach just in time for the sunrise, and I took a photo for my friends. But these bastards were so much in a hurry to move on before I could get a shot against the sunrise myself. And I realized I had dreamt this exact moment about a half a year prior. There are many more such little incidents, none really dramatic, but the experience does make me contemplate if our destiny is really predefined. Anyway, the most recent one was particularly amusing, if as ever trivial. About 5 months ago, I had a dream in which I was watching a film on TV with my parents in a dimly lit living room. It was pretty uneventful dream, so I forgot about it quickly. Then about a month ago, I was back in the same situation in the dream, except I got to think, wait, I think I dreamt of this same situation before? Am I having a dream? A precognitive one. It was the first time that I realized it was a dream in a dream, and that it was also going to be a precognitive one. In that knowledge, I did pay more close attention to details. Oh, look at the dish over there. Doesn't it look so real? This must be a precognitive dream, I thought. And just last week was Chuseok holiday. I was spending the last day of the holiday at my parents', and in the evening, Mom suggested that we watch Godzilla the film on TV. Not my kind of film, but I agreed because I wanted to spend more time with my parents. And when the film reached a certain scene, I realized it was the scene I saw in the dream. I quickly looked around. How my parents were sitting on the sofa, how the grey evening light was creating rather dingy atmosphere in the room, and that dish on the table? The exact dish I thought how realistic it was in the dream. So, I think I kind of dreamed a precognitive dream about a precognitive dream. As if one precognitive dream wasn't enough. I sometimes wish my dreams were something grander, like predicting a disaster or telling me next week's lottery number. But it's still amusing, I find. I'm just an ordinary guy of 28. When I was 9, I had a dream. In the dream, I was on my way back home from school and ran into a blue truck that was just driving out of the gate of my apartment block. It was an unusual car in the neighborhood, and I was pretty enthusiastic about cars at the time, so I paid a special notice to its registration number of the model. My eyes then naturally drifted up to the inside of the car. There were 3 guys, all dressed in black suits and wearing black sunglasses. They smirked, a creepy smile looking down at me. Anyway, I went back home and found it so quiet. My mom would usually have welcomed me. I started checking room by room, looking and calling for Mom. The last door I opened was to the balcony. The first thing I saw was red. The whole floor of the balcony was covered with sticky red, and the red was coming from Mom, slouched down at one corner. Even in the dream, I screamed so hard, and I woke up all wet with tears and sweat. In the morning, I didn't want to go to school. I didn't talk about the dream, but I certainly didn't want to leave the side of my mom. But clueless Mom got angry for my blind protest and spanked me out to school. I of course could not focus on anything all day, and as soon as the school ended, I hurriedly packed my things to go home. But I froze in the middle when I realized that I dreamed this very moment in the last night's dream. I ran all the way home, but my foreboding became an undeniable truth when I saw a blue truck slowly driving out of my apartment block. I desperately checked its model and number, praying that I be wrong. But just like that, they all matched what I dreamed. Inside the truck were 3 guys in black, and they smirked the same creepy smile at me. I ran to my apartment. It was silent, just like in the dream. I was crying and shaking uncontrollably as I opened the balcony door. There was no blood or Mom. Just then, Mom came in carrying both hands full of shoppings. I think I dropped on the floor and just bursted into crying. Mom, of course, didn't know what was up with me, but hugged me to calm down. A dream is just a dream after all, I assured myself, and went to lie down on bed to calm down. But then I heard Mom's sharp exclamation. I ran out to the living room. Mom was looking at the TV that was reporting a news. that a woman was found dead in the balcony of her apartment, which was in our block. The report further said that the police was searching for the suspected vehicle in relation to the murder, a blue truck. Hi, it's Anthony here, and thank you very much for listening. Well, it was another dream episode. To be fair, I think dream stories are most common subject among paranormal posts on the internet. I guess that's because dreams are usually the most common occasion for an ordinary people to get close to anything out of ordinary, really. I still hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and a comment, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet. It all helps my channel grow and also motivate me to carry on. If you'd support me more directly, I also have a Buy Me a Coffee account. The link's in the description. Buy Me a Coffee supporters enjoy an early access to my new video. Thank you. Just 2 episodes more before the end of the year. Oh dear. Until the next, stay safe and take care.